we are joined by Khalifa Khalifa, and your name is a beautiful Semitic name, okay, that does have some meaning in Hebrew, right? Chiluf, leachlif. The root has to do with being a replacement, and we know the caliphs, the caliphate, which might not be always, maybe in airports it's not a very good name. I don't know.
Well, it's definitely not a good name for airports, and I have a lot of funny stories about that. But
I'm
I got
sure.
intrigued about the Aramaic, I never, like, if you don't mind, just to give us a phrase of like how it sounds like and how it's close to Arabic, because I got very curious to, like, I have a lot of questions to ask you about how
We can
did
have a
you.
conversation about that. Maybe on your podcast we'll do something about the Aramaic. Just so you know, Aramaic was spoken alongside the Hebrew for and recorded in writing much earlier than Arabic. Arabic is recorded in writing fairly recently among the Semitic languages, even though it is very conservative as far as its phonology and so forth. The Fusha I'm talking about, and Aramaic has been recorded alongside Hebrew for 3,000 years. So you have different chronolects and different regional dialects. You want to hear Aramaic? Go to the synagogue next to your house. I don't know that you have very close to your house, and you'll hear people praying the Kaddish. Okay,
Mm.
or go to a church next to your house. If it's certain churches, in Lebanon, the Maronites still use the Aramaic as their main ritual worship language. And so you'll hear, for instance, the Avuna Divishmaya, right? The our heavenly Father, our
Mm.
Father who art in heaven, depends on the English translation.
No, but I wondering about how do you use it for the daily uses? Like,
So I don't
for
use it for daily
me,
uses.
it,
We don't. Nobody goes to the makolet, to the grocery store, speaking Aramaic. But we do have, because I teach the Hebrew Bible, certain parts of the Hebrew Bible are in Aramaic. Certain chapters in Ezra and in Daniel, one verse in Jeremiah, two words in the book of Genesis and Bereshit are in Aramaic. So the me teaching biblical Aramaic, which is slightly different than the Aramaic of the Gemara, the Talmud, which is also written in Aramaic, roughly. Again, complicated, always complicated. But this is the main reason I teach also Aramaic. Now, because of that, and in order to get a broader understanding of the language, I also, and because one of the important translations of the Bible, early translation of the Bible was into Aramaic, into Syriac, Christian Aramaic. I also studied Syriac, which is another dialect of Aramaic, in the Hebrew University. This is a
very
very,
interesting.
yeah. So Syriac grammar. Anyway, we're not here to talk about myself or Aramaic. We're here to talk about you and to talk
Yeah.
about the Druze community and to talk about so many interesting things you do.
Yeah,
So
so sorry guys, I'm a podcaster because I love meeting new people and I always get intrigued. I always complain about it that I never met one single boring person in Israel. So it's always interesting to hear other content creators and see what their passion is about. If you will, we started with my name. So I said it's Khalifa Khalifa, and it does a lot of trouble each and every time that I need to make a phone call for, like, I don't know, customer service. What is your name, Khalifa? Your family name, Khalifa? No, you said the first name. What is? So people are very baffled about this name, and it's very uncommon name even among Jews because it has a lot of strong affinity to the Islam. And it's like a Khalif. Khalif is the heir, someone who replaced the Prophet Muhammad, who used to be both spiritual and political leader, and ever since got the whole Islamic world in a tremblance, one might say. And it's very interesting that my father choose to call me this name because it's not common. It's not very common in Druze community to have such names.
So you have a certain premise, Khalifa. You assume that everybody knows what a Druze is because you are used to Israeli audience. And in Israel, we all know Druze, especially if we serve in the military. Well, you serve in a combat unit. There is very, very, very high chance you have Druze friends or anywhere else in the IDF. So that is correct for us. But the audience here don't know the Druze community. So maybe we'll start, as I said, the gift that you're bringing, many gifts that you're bringing the public discourse in Israel. One of those is bringing Arabic in its original language to the non-Arabic speakers, such as myself. I'm not a native Arabic speaker, and my Arabic is basic. So you use the term Druze. And I want to start with this game, like of understanding the Middle East and understanding today's discussion through Arabic. And here we have three phrases or words that are related to being Druze. Would you like to tell us a little bit about, teach us these and tell us what do they mean and how they help us understand the Druze community better?
Yeah, sure, of course. So the first one that you signed was the Druze. As for Hebrew, we start from right to left. So Druze is basically a nickname for a group of people that originally were called Muwahidin, which is in translation the monotheistics. Because we love this name, and actually this name
Guys,
symbolizes.
did you hear the wahad, the echad in muwahidin? That's the same as the Hebrew echad. I must say that because I teach biblical Hebrew, people here do know some biblical Hebrew, so they know the number one, the word echad. They definitely know Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. So muwahidun or muwahidin is the ones who have believe in the one, right?
Exactly. So basically, just to put it in very broad lines, there's a well, first of all, it's very interesting. Like in Israel, we have only 150,000 Druze. Like we are the uncommon among the uncommon in a way. We are a very small sect or group or religious ethnic group. Yet we have been known for a lot of time for people who do a lot of noise. People do recognize and hear about the Druze, and they have very unique aspects. So for those who don't know who are Druze, and we said al-Muwahidun, Echad, monotheistics. By the way, you've seen the video that I translated from this Syrian guy, Druze Syrian guy who is a shepherd among
Shepherd in the northern part, right, or something.
he's really in a very
Remote
village in Sweden, in the
in
eastern
Sweden.
part,
Okay, so
in
it's the southern
Sweden,
part.
south of Syria. And this guy sent me a video saying Shema Israel Adonai Echad, and
With the famous melody.
you can feel that this guy knows what he's talking about, and he actually is feeling the word, which is like, for me, I wept when I saw this video. It's so powerful. And honestly, like he lived in a place where he got taught or lectured or learned, and his whole political view, one might say, or atmosphere, thinks about Israel's as being demons and being very malicious people. And you have this guy sending a blessing of love to the people sitting in Zion and singing Shema Israel Adonai Echad. And for me, that was such a powerful moment. And to be honest, this is what strikes me most, because for people who don't know Arabic, most of the Arabic goes in places that we are all familiar with, and that like overloads the news and the media about what the Arabs are. And I got really addicted of seeing the reaction of people that don't speak Arabic when they watch one of my videos, seeing people asking and requesting peace, and sending words of love, and not trying to beautify the reality, is just to try and just put the spotlight on certain people and beliefs. And to get back to the Druze people, so just to put it in a very broad lens, as I said, the Druze people are commonly or originally came out from the Islamic world, and to be specific, from the Shia caliphate in the 11th century in northern Africa, which is Egypt. Like I say, like Jews, we also started in Egypt 1,000 years ago officially.
الحاكم بأمر الله, right?
Indeed, right. The sixth caliphate of the sixth Khalif in the Fatimic Caliphate in the 11th century. But one thing is that we believe in reincarnation. So although we officially started 1,000 years ago, we also believe that we started, and our prophets and the whole messengers basically started much earlier. So we have our own interpretation for all the religious scripts, the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Quran as well. But we have our own interpretations, and the dawah, or the call to make invite people to join into the religion, was closed in 1047, if I remember correctly. And ever since, you can't become Druze. You can only born Druze, and you need to have both of your parents as Druze. So we made it like you Jewish folks always laugh about it, that you make a hard time for people to join. So we say we just exceeded that and said, no, this club is closed. So only people who have both parents as Druze can be Druze. Otherwise, it's like whatever you choose. And as I said, we believe in reincarnation. And although historically we started from the Muslim world, and we still native Arabic speakers, this is my mother tongue. You probably can feel the how do you say it? My accent. The accent, exactly.
I thought you're British. But then you said you're Arabic speaker. Then go ahead.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I fooled you for a second. But,
for a second there.
yeah, I could use, words like splendid and trousers and such. Maybe that will help me. But basically, we got out of Islam, and we are no longer Muslims, although politically wise speaking, under the dominance of strong Islam, we practiced Islam in the public sphere. It's Jewish people that lived in Europe, like in the Habsburg Empire and such places, can really relate to that you outside you can be as the next average Joe or whatever, or Max, but in your own place you will worship your God, your belief, your practices. And this is exactly what we do. knowing that being a minority, it's a matter of time when you'll have the majority of people saying it's not okay for you to be minority. And this is basically starting from the name can give a glimpse of how really it doesn't really the Druze religion doesn't really go in line with the Islam, because, for example, Muslims believe that God is a transcendent being sitting in the seventh sky and he's disconnected from his creation. We, the Druze, more believe in if you like, a sort of eminent godly figure, very similar to what Spinoza, from all people, spoke about, that he's united.
Pantheism, right? Like,
Exactly. In a way, the way, and this is one thing that I must say as a disclaimer for everybody, the Druze religion, because it's been persecuted, and I always in my lectures get to this premise that Druze are Jews with no benefits.
I actually
So
mentioned that phrase when I said we're gonna have you. I said that one of the interesting phrases you use is Druze are Jews without benefits. And I said, I promised everybody you're gonna further explain that, even, and I didn't even have to say it. You brought it in.
yeah, exactly. So, because it's very interesting story, we treat it as Jews, and because the Druze in Israel have such a strong bond and very deep-rooted bond, there's a saying of Rabbi Binyamin Mitodela at 1167, like in the early days of the Druze as a community in the northern side of, Israel, Eretz Israel, and Syria. And Rabbi Binyamin Mitodela was a guy who was a traveler and kept a journey to himself. And he talked about a nation called Dirzian that lives in the high mountains and between the rocks, and they have no God and no minister that can really govern them. But they love the Jews, and they are very brave. And it's a 1,000-year quote, but still so powerful, because no matter what you know about the Druze, if you read that quote about from Rabbi Binyamin Mitodela, you can feel the essence of what being a Druze. And everybody knows the Druze are very kind, very generous, very loving to other, and very open to other religious beliefs, and we hug and feel affinity to each and every one, to Judaism, to Islam, to Christianity, because as I said, we believe in reincarnation. So our prophets took role in each and every major play in the monotheistic beliefs. And we believe that the spiritual divine process is on the going. So to get back to the Jews with no benefits, you can see it politically played by the adversaries of Israel. When it fits their interests, they will color. They just will say about the Druze no matter what. Okay. You know what? I will give you an example. I have a friend.
Just a second before that, I just added, as you were talking, I added two terms or three terms in Arabic that are related to what you were talking about. So this is about being as Muslim as the other guy, taqiya, which is not just among Druze, but it is a policy of concealment. I don't know what would be the translation.
It's more like a camouflage, one might
Camouflage.
say. And it's do not show your
Cards.
differences.
So you
Yeah,
don't have to show your cards. You're
ex-
like everybody else everybody else, and you're a crypto Druze, or you're
ex- Exactly. And people really misunderstand this concept because people think that this is another way of practicing lies. But one of the first rule of the Druze people is to be truthfulness, like you be truthful and speak truth. So what really happens in Taqiyya is that you focus on the common ground and the things that you feel very connected to the other sects. For example, for me, like Nelson Mandela once said that if you talk to someone in his mother tongue, you talk to his heart, but if you speak in his other language, you speak to his mind. For me, I have a very common ground culturally, historically, in many different ways with people that me as an Israeli consider as enemies. You know, seen, watched the same videos, the same movies, the same music we heard. Like this is a common ground with me. So Taqiyya for me would say to emphasize on these things that unite us and other things that divide us, and
We
that's the
call
whole.
it rapport. To create that rapport, of course, we can focus on the things that divide us, but takia means create the rapport based on the things that you have in common and not based on the areas where you divide or differ.
Exactly. So, and basically, we are the most religious belief that cannot in any way intimidate the other sect because I have no intention to try to convince you to join my belief. I'm okay with mine. You are okay with yours. Even if you really want it, Nathaniel, you can't become Druze. I
Oh,
can't do this hocus pocus
oh,
and
I,
say,
I was
okay,
considering. I was considering. No, but what another point to you talked about religiosity among the Druze. So I added, as you can see, another term here at the bottom, or two terms that are important for people to know as you started adding caveats to your introduction of the Druze belief. And these are also important, right? Would you like
yeah,
to
yeah,
them as well?
spot on, I must say, like a very good thing because it's a very dichotomic belief. It's either you're religious, you are fully committed to this way of living, or you're not. So the first one is aqil, the one that you just marked. From for those who like know the sound, aqil means mind. Aqil,
Mind.
someone who is mindful. And it's a lot of mindfulness practice in the believing of Druze. I really am very fascinated about it, but knowing that I'm not a aqil myself, I'm a jahil, the other one, the other word that we have here, which means I'm an ignorant. And ignorance is to ignore the truth. I am actively ignoring the pursuit of knowledge of the Druze belief, which I'm okay. I'm trying to do it in a secular way, but it's a very difficult thing because if we consider the fact that the Druze came out from the Muslim world, and it's a very groundbreaking. Truly, seriously, the fact is that you have no obligation or any shape or way or form to try to convince someone to become religious.
And
According to
even
the
more so, maybe if I may add, Khalifa, that Jahil is related to the period of ignorance that preceded Islam in Islamic culture, which is considered to be something bad, very bad. So the Jahiliyyah, right? The period of the ignorance that preceded Islam was fought against by the Prophet of Islam. And the fact that it is a legitimate to be jahil among Druze is very, very, as you said, groundbreaking in when you consider the Islamic background of Druze.
Yeah, the literal meaning of the word is illiterate, is someone who doesn't even know to how to read or write, or someone who is not knowledgeable about anything. This is jahil. This is the meaning of the word. Um, and the thing is that you must, in the Druze belief, come to meet God in your own free will. For example, my father is a very well known and respected religious person or figure here in Dalat al Carmel, where I live. And he would ever never come to me and say, listen to me, son, I must tell you the fact that you should consider to לחזור בתשובה, to come forward
To
and
repent. You're
to,
right.
to repent, to come forward to God, and to get back on the right track. This never happened or will never happen. When this is like amazing, you go actively based on your free will and say, okay, I'm sick of being ignorant. I wanna try and seek the truth, and that's not enough. Even after you do that, the community basically tests your will to do that. So you need to be accepted in the worship of the house of worship of God called Khilwe, which is a solitude, like the meaning of the word, a solitude place. As I mentioned before in Rabbi Binyamin Metodel, I said they have no God and no religion, which is not quite correct, because we do have a God and we do believe in the one God. But the meaning or the interpretation that I put to this quote is to say the Druze have no real appearance in the public sphere. For the place of worship is a very like
Regular house. It doesn't look anything different of the outside.
exactly, and it's put in places where people that are going by won't see it. You need to seek to go to this. It's a hidden place. It's a place like Batman when he go to the North Pole. That's the whole idea about it. Just a place of solitude. That's the meaning of the name. And for me, it's very interesting. Like the Druze communities really has some unique figures, which in a way reminds me of Jewish people. Although I'm 100% Druze, fully committed to the Druze community, but in part, I feel Jewish growing up in Israel. When I watch Seinfeld, when I hear, I don't know, Woody Allen or whatever, part in me feels really, really Jewish in a way. And as I started to say earlier about my friend, just to give you an example about the Jews and Druze of the benefits, I have a friend who fled Sueda, South Syria in 1989, when he knew that this country can give him no hope. So he basically fled to the UAE. UAE is very well known with the Abrahamic house,
United Arab Emirates. Not.
yeah,
I'm not sure everybody is familiar with the acronym.
yeah, sorry. And those people who did the Abrahamic Accords with Israel, and they represent a tolerant way of interpretation of the Islam, and they are very moderate to be considered as moderate. But this case happened before we actually had peace with them. And this guy lived in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, for 35 years. After 35 years, and he concealed his Druze identity because, as we said, takiya, and he felt not secure about it, but his employers discovered that. And when they knew about it, they called him for a meeting and said, okay, guy, we discovered that you are Druze, which means that you are probably a Mossad agent, and we don't want such in our company. So please take all your things, and you are no longer welcome here in the UAE. And he actually had to do an immigration when he became much older with his family, and now moved to Canada, and he's having trouble, but this gives you, and this guy is Syrian, and he never like dealt with Israel. He doesn't know Hebrew. He has no relation with Israel in whatsoever. But we considered as Jews, as Israelis, and that is used against us when it's convenient.
Right. So many of the questions I was planning to ask actually came through the free conversation, which means that we were on track and we did well on that. Many people kind of automatically associate Arab identity with being against Israel for understandable reasons. And how is it for you to be part of the Arab culture in the broader sense of it, and to grow up in Israel and as part of your personal story, and how are I'm sure you can share stories and of that experience. And later on, I want to also ask you about your experience of being the first Druze in Oketz, which I didn't tell anyone what Oketz is yet, but that's I'm sure also a fascinating
Well, the question that I will ask you is how deep you want to go in that, because you touched base on a very deep-rooted question in my
Khalifa,
whole
don't
being.
tempt me. We'll have to do a series. No.
Yeah, yeah. But basically, it was during my army service when I realized that I'm dreaming in Hebrew. And for me, in that point, being in the army as a Druze, who is like, I always try to just to give an example to people how it really feels. For me, as an Israeli Druze, it feels like one leg I'm sitting on a volcano, and on another leg I'm sitting on an iceberg. On average wise, I should be like in an optimal temperature, but basically I'm dying because I'm an identity crisis. Part in me feels Palestinians. When I went to arrest in the West Bank or wherever, I always talked to the Palestinians. I always used as an integrator or things like that. So I'm very connected with the local community. And as I said, I speak with them with no filters. I could bond with them easily, although I am a soldier of the enemy trying to arrest them or things like that. So it's very, very complicated
And even
issue.
if I can say, maybe something a little bit related to your previous story about your friend in the UAE, maybe people don't understand that, but from an purely Islamic law standpoint, you might be even more problematic than me.
No, I'm definitely more problematic than you. And if you go to Ibn Taymiyyah, which is
Right,
like Ibn Taymiyyah, he's
an Islamic legal scholar, very famous.
exactly, but he's the father scholarly of the all the Salafists, like the extremist
Right.
fundamentals in Sunni Islam, and he basically said it loud and clear. The Druze and the Alawites are more dangerous than the Jews. You should start by eliminating them, and then you should come to the Jews. And it comes from this logic that for us, being as Islam, like as I said, we came out from the Islam world, saying and being very in a much chutzpah, one might say, like in outrageously
Ambitious, right?
Exactly. So to say, you know what, we've been there, we read that, we are okay, we prefer it our way, that's a very insulting thing to Islam because one should know that for Islam, their miracles or the main miracle is the Quran itself. It's the holy book of the Quran. Because according to the Islamic belief, which acknowledges both Jesus Christ and both Moses. It basically says those guys came before me, and then something went away, and they like got off course. And this is why we need Prophet Muhammad now to come and give us the final, as they say, the final version of the iPhone 16. This is how.
Final seal, right?
Exactly. So he sealed the whole thing and said, no prophets will come after me. And then you have this small sect of Druze chutzpanim and say, okay, guys, okay, we read it, but we like to differ. But don't ask about it because it's secretive and we will keep it in secret. In any way, you can't become us. That's okay. Keep your religion to yourself. We will keep ours to us. And this is outrageously, unbelievably unthinkable from the Islamist fundamental perspective. This is why we come first, because the miracle of Islam is that if you read the book, then you will become Muslim. You have no other way.
Yes,
And
and maybe if I can essentialize it in a slightly different way, for many Christians, Jesus is of divine nature. Okay, most Christians. For Muslims, none of the Muslim thinks that Muhammad was of divine nature, but they do think that the Quran is of divine nature itself.
exactly.
That's the Quran is closest to their Jesus than Muhammad in that sense.
And this is why the whole seerah, the whole biography of Muhammad, really emphasizes this his human ordinary ways. He didn't know how to read, he didn't know how to write, he wasn't really accepted among his community. No one wanted to him to marry his daughter or his daughter basically, and he finally had to marry Khadija, which was a famous rich woman that was 20 years older than him. So the Quran really emphasizes that in order to say how divine the book itself, and the book is eternal and unspoken, undebatable truth.
Right. So going back to the experiences, one foot in the ice and the other in the fiery furnace.
So basically, I'm identity crisis, and that's not me. Druze in Israel are the most modernized. They are the ones who have enjoys the best freedoms, the most free of worship, free of belief, free speech, all the things that the good state of Israel gives us, along with better life expectancy, better treatments, everything, and we are richer than all the other Druze in the area. But that comes with a price. And the price is that we get really integrated with the Jewish Western community, and that comes on our native identity, if that's a way of speak, because identity is something very complex and very complicated. But this is why the most heated debate that we used to had when I was in high school, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago, is if we consider to be Arabs or no. You had people, Druze, basically people who got summoned with the army, and they get asked, Why do you want to go to Magav, for example, or any other unit?
Maybe just a quick note: Magav is border police, and it's considered to have a very, very
It's a
rough.
stronghold of Druze.
It's a stronghold of Druze, and also has a very daily rough interaction, oftentimes with the Arab population in certain parts of Israel.
Exactly. They get a lot of heat, and when he was asked, I know this guy. He was asked, "Why do you want to go to Magav?" And he said, "I want to kill Arabs." Like, I'm I'm so in debate, or I'm not comfortable with this identity, that I try to expose it by trying to say, no, I'm not Arab, although my name is Khalifa Khalifa, and no, I want to kill Arabs. This is how people, in the teenage stupid mind, this is how people thought. And we used to have a lot of debates. Are we considered Arabs, yes or no? And the fact is that the largest community of Druze in the world is in Sweda, which is a province in southern Syria, almost 1 million Druze, the largest population of Druze in the world. But Sweda has many names. Among of them is Jabal al-Arab, the mountain of the Arabs.
Jabal Druze, Jabal Arab. Actually, the Druze are considered to be the original Arabs in a sense.
Exactly. And the only sect that speaks the closest Arabic to the Quran, basically. We pronounce all the letters as they are. The only sect in the whole, like, you basically, that you
Okay,
can tell
just a second.
someone.
I'll take it back to one of the words here that is a very good example for that. So the word here, maybe in the Lebanese context of it, maybe you can use that as an example for what you said, as well as explain how this is, so integral in understanding Lebanon and Syria.
Exactly. So the word that you marked is mantiqa, and which means area. And the letter that you are marking now is the qaf. When Gabriel showed himself to Muhammad according to the Quran, the first word he said, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق الإنسان
Call
من
upon the
علق.
name of your Lord. Yeah.
So he said that قاف الزوتي, this qa is
Equivalent to the Hebrew kof, by the way. The letter kof in Hebrew, and the original pronunciation of the kof is indeed probably qa as well.
very
And
interesting.
emphatic. Yeah, sure. We can dive
Interesting.
into it very, very deep, proto-Semitic. This is what I do when I don't have you as a guest.
I told you I need to catch a talk with you because it's really fascinating, to be honest. But now most of the people don't know how to pronounce this letter. Some of them say manti'a. Let's say,
That's
for
a
example.
very Lebanese, or Jerusalem, by the way.
Yeah,
Depends. Yeah, depends. If you go to Jerusalem, which is called El Quds, okay? Kodesh in Hebrew. HaKodesh, El Quds, the
exactly.
Holy One, the holiness. And
So,
those
and
people,
you
they would say Uts rather than Quds. Right.
exactly. So people say El Quds, El Uds, all different kind of variations,
Right.
but
If you're Bedouin, you say G
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, for example, examples are not very important, but yes, people
Kahwa, Kawa,
don't
Kawa.
don't pronounce it quietly. So yes, we are Arabs, and we are very proud Arab. So much so, just to try to consolidate with my own Arabic identity. This is why my 9 years old daughter doesn't speak Hebrew at all, because a lot of Druze nowadays, they being so integrated with the Israeli community, they somehow lost some of the aspects of the language. So they speak a different dialect, a very special dialect, which is called makhluta.
Makhluta, okay. Makhluta means a mix of a
Exactly.
Tex-Mex, right?
Textbook, exactly. So they mix between Arabic and Hebrew, and this is why I said that in my 18 years, 19 years old soldier in the army, I recognized that I'm dreaming in Hebrew because for me, Hebrew was the language of the civilized people, of the civilized nations, for people who has actual culture. So I try to overthrow the Arabic or try to hide or conceal them. But now I see it in a whole different way. And in my 40 years old self, the new self, I'm very connected to my Druze community. I'm very passionate about it. And I see that objectively speaking, if someone just witness what this community does, and I could speak about it for hours and hours, you will see that in the essence, it has a lot of similarities to the Jews, but also they have something truly uniquely special in the Middle East. And if you know, if I just to give you like the bottom line about it, I think that what's really remarkable and strong about the Druze, that we believe in reincarnation, but that's one aspect of the epistemology of this belief, because we live in, like, if I'll die, I will born as Druze. So for this is why I would love someone Druze just for being Druze. I really have free love to this person because in a way I know that if now a lightning will hit me, or I don't know, Hezbollah will launch a rocket or whatever that is, and I will die, I could be his son or his nephew. For us, life is like a dress, like a shirt that you wear. I wear this shirt now. I will replace it and go to other place, but I will go as Druze, and re- this is what's so remarkable, and this is what makes the Druze so powerful, because we always have this thing of I'm my brother's keeper, and this is why we have the name, the second one, like in the middle that you have in the Druze names, Bani Maʿruf. We are the ones with the favor. We keep a favor one for another, and we hold and vault safe one another, which is amazing.
And this leads me to talk to you now as an expert on the Middle East, because
I'm
we
not an
spoke about.
expert on anything. What I'm
Oh,
trying is,
come on, don't go now all humble on me. It's nice. It's but let's talk.
I'm no expert. I'm no expert, but I'm stupid or courage enough to show my ignorance publicly,
Okay,
so
it makes
people could
both of
debate
us.
that.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. Anyway, the word mantaka, or in the Lebanese manta'a, or whatever, region. Now, people, people understand the word region, but it has a completely different sense. And I did not pay uh as much attention to that word, I think, until I kind of heard it again and again and again and again, and the broad sense of it in the uh, especially in the Lebanese, but also in the Syrian context of it, and understand the full extent of it. What does it mean, region? Because how is the word mantika, which is translated mantika, which is translated as region, different in meaning than the word region in English, especially in the Syrian and Lebanese context?
Uh, well, first of all, Druze, not only Druze, like the whole Middle East is a mosaic, a beautiful mosaic with a lot of colors, and those colors sit in a certain places. And you mentioned before the Aramaic that you said that it's older written language than the Arabic. And the Arabic is a very verbal community. And mantiq, which is also means the spoken word or reason or logic. Mantiq is logic. And the thing is that the language changes from every different region. For example, knowing that next to Daliat el Carmel, you have a village called Osifia, which is also
By the way,
Druze.
you wouldn't notice it's on the same mountain. Okay, it's the same Carmel Ridge. You go, you basically you wouldn't know that you left Usfia and you're now in Dalia if you were a
You
foreigner.
wouldn't, well, you could know, but I'm not gonna spoil it. But
No, if
yes,
you're a foreigner, I said if you're a foreigner, you wouldn't know.
yeah, and the trick is when you see that you have two routes on the road, that means that you are in Dalia. We always laugh about them that they only have one route in the street, and that's it. But basically, yes, one cannot tell the difference, but it's two different dialects. And the reasons for that is because we in Daliat el Carmel came from the Syrian region and they came from Lebanon. And like we speak perfectly. I speak my dialect, they speak their dialect, and we understand each other perfectly, except for some words that we don't understand. And just to give like the sound of it for people, it comes from like the basics of the basics. For us to say yes, we say which means yes, and they say and you say, okay, what does it mean? But the thing is, after I finished my army service, I started working in a startup company that all the employers were Christians, Muslims. I was the only Druze, which is a fascinating thing to begin with, because I moved from being the sole Druze in my elite unit in Okets, and now I'm the sole Druze in the startup that everybody speaks Arabic. And every time I've been asked something and I said yes, I said their Christian or Muslim ears didn't hear yes. They hear what? And then they always will repeat the question again. So I said yes, but why are you repeating the same question? And it comes from these funny little things, but it's for me, hearing someone it doesn't matter where he from. If he Bedouin from the south of Israel, I will recognize him. If he from Jerusalem, I will know that he's an Arab from Jerusalem. Each and every mantiqa, each and every place and region has its own dialect, and this is why it's so hard to un-Arab to practice Arabic, because you don't know who did you come to talk with. Is he Bedouin? Is he Druze? Is he Christian? What kind of dialect does he know? How he speaks the word? And people has a lot of trouble in this regard. And I say it's a terrible language to start to begin with. As I said, it's not an easy one.
Now I want to now in Israel, as you said, it is mainly practices and dialectal situations. In the neighboring countries, it oftentimes involves more and the ability of the centrality of the state versus the ability of the people in a certain region to have dominion on their own region. So you can, if you're of one minority, Lebanon is a country of minorities, for instance. If you're from one religious sect, okay, you live in a certain region, and that certain region is ran by mostly the people of the region rather than the state in many cases. Again, big cities might differ a little bit, but you have a village, everybody in the village is, let's say, Christian, Maronite Christians, or Sunni Muslims or Shiite Muslims, and you have a region, and you cannot not it's not that you can buy a house in that place if you're not of that community, of that sect, of that region, in many cases. So it's much deeper than the meaning of that in other places, right?
Yeah, well, I must say that you done it brilliantly, choosing the words that to start the discourse out, because the one that you are marking now, طائفية, sectarianism, or my sect or my group, is probably the strongest identity that one might have in any group or ethnic Arab speaking people in the whole world, basically, not only in Israel or in the Druze, because and this is why if we like imagine a world with no Israel in it, people here will still be fighting and killing each other, and the same mayhem will be happening, because in a way Israel is a aim for a lot of the hatred against the even the idea, the notion of a liberal or democratic secular state, because the secular state, the modern state, contradicts the very essence of the epistemological orientation of some Arab person. And now I said a lot of
Yeah, you said big words. So
big words,
basically,
and I try
yeah,
to
basically you have 300 and something million Americans. If you ask them, what are you more? Are you American, or are you a person from a certain town, or are you more like a person of a certain origin, or what is the dominant identity according to which you live your life legally?
I will explain. First of all, it goes with circles. Okay, there's an old saying in Arabic says, أنا وخيي على ابن عمي وأنا
Mhm.
وابن عمي على الغريب.
I'll explain. I'll translate.
Feel
Me
free.
and my brother against my cousin. Me and my brother and my cousin against the foreigner.
Exactly. And now, me and my cousin, which means me and my closest tribe. For example, it's a very tribal way of being. For example, in Dalit el Carmel, it's always matters of numbers. What is the largest family here? And your privilege.
Halabi, right?
Halabi, exactly.
I
So
have a
Halabi
friend, Halabi, from
is
Dalia.
exactly. And I will explain and show that this is not only to Druze, or it's in general for the whole Arabs basically, and you can explain it in the election phenomena. In the elections, the national elections here in Israel, the percentage of participation among Arabs is somewhere between 50. That
Oh,
means that
now you're gonna compare it to the municipalities, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
So can you tell what is the average in municipalities?
over 90%.
It's more than 95.
Yeah.
In Daliat al Carmel, the last elections, we had 97. And I would tell you, I didn't participate in the national elections. And I tried my best to say I'm out of the municipality thing, but I was under so much persuasion and trying to convince me otherwise, that it was like just the nagging out of it. I said, okay, I'll do it, just leave me alone, because it was really too much. The thing is, my tribe now against the other tribe, although we are both Druze, although we live in the same village, but for us, it's like, and like when someone outside from the village will come and I don't know, offend or abuse or hit or somehow do harm to the other guy from the other sect, I will defend him and be my brother's keeper, as I said. But now, as I said, it's circles, just to give a notion about it. So for them, in the municipalities, the Bedouin just even shoot against each other. It's very heated, very hot topic because this is the way we perceive our being according to our family or the clan. It doesn't really matter who is the clan or the names differ, the situations differ, but this is how you see it. And if you ask, I don't know, someone before, some Arab random guy in 1936, for example, who are you? The first thing he will answer to you will say, I'm from this family, because the tribal affinity or the connection is the strongest and the most important. And after that, this is my introduction to the world. This is the thing that defines who am I as a person.
Right. There is so much more to say about that, but I want to ask you last maybe a question because we're already passing the hour and I don't want to take too much time of your precious time. Uh, I want you to tell us a little bit about the project you are now going forward with through the looking glass. What does it mean? What are you bringing to the world through that project?
Well, as I said, I got addicted to let non-Arab speakers the opportunity to be a fly in the wall, on the wall, as they say, and hear what Arabs speak between themselves. And I'm not trying to beautify anything. I'm just trying to translate things that I find interesting and serve them as a service to my followers, and they really love my content. And I try, by choosing the content that I try to emphasize, is to explain things, and this is the best way to learn about things. This is how I explore my world, is try to listen to other people and not try to speak more than I hear, and this is the beauty out of it. Like to open the eyes for people and see what Arab, how they perceive their being, what matters them, what questions do they ask each other, what matters the most, and then the whole thing of hearing two Arabs speaking about Israel is a whole different way because people don't know that, but there's real anti-Semitism, Arabic anti-Semitism, that it's so integrated in the common beliefs of Arabs that it's way beyond the common understanding. Just to give an example, Egypt, a nation of 110 million people, the number one seller is Mein Kampf. Even here in Israel, in Arab villages, you can find Mein Kampf, although it's illegal here in Israel. I saw people that do actual, they report papers to the university in Palestinian universities with the footnotes taken from the protocols of the elders of Zion. They think it's a um, historical book. Uh, so there's a lot of anti-Semitism. There's a lot of ignorance about Jews. There's a lot of fear out of Jews, which, in my humble opinion, Jews don't really know how to use it because most of Arab, it's very, how do you say it, superstitial. They believe in so many different things. I'm speaking broadly about the Arab because a lot of, even the fundamentalist movements like Hamas and such, they believe in the after days or all sort of prophets, all sort of, you could have even a very strong and influential country like Iran trying to conduct its foreign affairs according to signs in the sky or all sort of hidden mysterious signs that they consider. This is
Maybe the
this is
Mossad should put signs in the sky. Maybe that's the way to deal with it.
yeah, sure. Sure thing, but this is the reality, and this is what I'm trying to, it's very complex. It's not complicated in my eyes, and try to peel it layer by layer, and it's the beauty of it.
So thank you so much, Khalifa Khalifa, and it was a pleasure. I knew for me it was, and I know that for my friends, students that are here from all over the world, to hear you, to hear someone who's both, Arab, proud Arab, and a proud Druze, if you can say these words. We talked about Druze not being, but a proud Druze,
I
and
am.
right, and a proud Israeli, and someone who served in the special forces. By the way, Okitz, I didn't tell you what Okitz is. So one sentence about Okitz and being the first Druze in Okitz, maybe.
Well, it was 2004. It's a K9 special elite unit, but ever since a lot of for me it was like it like I opened a new door and it was groundbreaking. Now you have Druze, leading the best of the elite units, like the commander of Shaldag unit, which is a commando unit in you have pilots, the Druze are very well integrated in the security for obvious reasons. Of course, we have the language advantage, and we help people here to navigate in this stormy environment. But I must say, like I'm doing it for a while now. But I really enjoyed the talk with you. You did a brilliant job, in my opinion. I must say, I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much,
Sure
Netanel.
thing, Khalifa. I'm saying if you want me to come on Merida Khalifim, I'll definitely come. If you want to have the conversation in Hebrew, in English, and in whichever. My Arabic is not good enough, so it's not going to be in Arabic. But other than that, sure.
Here's something that we should work on.
Yeah, a little bit. I try. I follow you. You see, I try. So
Sweet.
that's that. And thank you very much, guys. Let's give our love to Khalifa Khalifa. And it
Thank you,
was
everybody.
brilliant indeed.
Thank
I
you so much.
I never had a guest who didn't enjoy coming, except for
Sweet.
once, but that's for a different time. I'll tell you the story.
I always say it's only an excuse to meet people because you can't say, hey, can we meet for a Zoom? I want to talk to you. And now when you put it in a frame, let's do a podcast. Then it's legitimate. So I know the trick. It always works and it's fun. I love meeting new people, and I loved really seeing the faces. Hi, everybody! It was true pleasure talking to you.
Oh, do you want us to open it for questions from around the world a little bit? Do you have the time?
Yeah, let's give it I don't know, few minutes. See if
Okay,
there's.
guys. Anyone wants to ask, let Khalifa know where you're from as well in the chat box if you don't get to ask him a question. And if you want to ask a question, go ahead. Betsy, I see your mic is open. Do you want to ask a question?
I don't. I just think this is wonderful. And I've been learning about the Druze because of the war, Netanel. When the Lebanon, the bomb on accident in the soccer, and it was so sad, but the nation of Israel stood with them. And now all the action in Syria and the Druze there trying to navigate their way through all of this. So thank you so much for coming and speaking to us. It's very important, and our hearts are with you.
Thank you so much.
Maybe
I
we'll have to
didn't.
do one about the difference between the Druze in your region and in the Galilee and in the Golan. Slightly
Yeah,
different
there's
story.
a lot of things to talk, but first of all, let me thank you for mentioning those boys. I always get very emotional when I speak about those kind of things, but I'm not trying to be emotional here. But as an Israeli, I'm very proud that if there's a point where everything turned back to our favor, starting from October 7, it was this mistake that Hezbollah did, because after that, the whole scenery changed. There's no other person more proud than me that it all happened after we had to pay this unbelievable price, but that my state didn't pass it. It started from Fuad Shukr, the chief of staff of Hezbollah. After that, Eid al-Pager, which is the holiday of pagers, and after that, Nasrallah. So
Eid
thank you
al-Fitr.
for.
Oh, and now all the way to Syria. I mean, it's on another level what is happening right now in the world, and all eyes are focused on you. Netanel, you know this, and the Druze, I mean, just Netanel, it's everywhere. It's all, lines are being drawn.
Indeed. Indeed.
Amen.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. What a great honor to get to speak with you. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you.